What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 39 of Clips and Dip. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland and Will Updike. We're your favorite podcast that talks about the Clippers, I'm pretty sure. I hope so. Today we're going to talk about Kawhi's extension, the near quasi-disaster against the Raptors. We're going to preview the game against the Grizzlies, some of the Grizzlies, and then talk a really cool article that kind of broke down just how good and why the James Harden pick and roll is so good. But before we get to that, hello to everyone on YouTube over at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. Hello to everyone listening. Will, Adam, how are you guys doing? Will, we'll start with you. How's it going?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk some clips.
I'm good. A fun game last night against the Toronto Raptors in that up-tempo style. Big day with Kawhi signing the contract. Did a quick live. Missed
The
you
live
guys.
was great. Yes, thank you for doing the live.
I guess that one will live on in YouTube. There's no podcast. Go to the YouTube, guys. We want you to start going there and subscribing, please. We're trying to get our subscriptions up.
Yes,
So,
we get our
check it out.
subscriptions up. We can get Adam more fantastic shirts. If you're not watching this, you can't see Adam's great shirt. It's a tie-dye Clippers shirt from a listener. So shout out to whoever that was. We don't remember who it was. No disrespect. But let's talk that Kawhi Leonard contract. He got the extension done on the 10th. 3 years, $152 million, fully guaranteed. It's the max per year salary next year, and then $50 million over the next 2 years. Let's just talk first reactions. Will, did you throw your phone against the wall in excitement and knock things over when you saw the Kawhi extension news?
No, I mean, it was unexpected, the timing of it. But this was always going to be, this was always going to be what the Clippers were going to do. There really wasn't another avenue for the Clippers. Like, let's say, even if this season hadn't gone well, or, knock on wood, Kawhi Leonard had been injured or something, there really aren't a lot of other moves that this franchise could have done. If you look at the free agent class, you're not getting a player better than Kawhi. You gain absolutely nothing by letting him walk. And by keeping him on your roster, you have the, a top five, or the potential of a top five player, and, a seat at the table of contenders. So I think that, this was ultimately the only move for the Clippers. I like that, financially, I don't know what those conversations were like in the offseason. We heard that they were in talks, throughout all of that. I don't know, necessarily what took so long. I don't know if maybe there was some hesitation just with the thought that James Harden might be added to this roster sometime in the offseason or throughout the season. I don't know if that affected it at all. But I think, him willing to take a little bit less than the max and less than max years, I just don't know what better you would want. I know, like, some people are fans of the 1+1 idea. And I think that that's all well and good. I think that Kawhi has done enough to deserve whatever contract he wanted, even if he wanted the max. I mean, what are you going to do with a player of that caliber? You're going to say no? Like, for a franchise like this, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm very, very happy. Like I said, the timing was unexpected. The result was completely expected.
Yeah, I like the timing thing. It really did just kind of come out of nowhere. Which is a nice little surprise that day that it happened. He said that there's another encouraging quote. Adam, we talked about this a little bit on the double dip, but what he said post game last night, which was like, he basically expects pretty much everyone else to be back next year. Paul George has talked about it. Harden can't sign until the offseason actually starts, but yeah, there's some flexibility here. I'm wondering when the Paul George thing is going to get done, but that's as great of a quote as you could hope for, especially if you look at the Clippers payroll. Everyone who's pretty important should be locked up.
Yeah, it sounds like they're extending the 2-1-3 era in full, plus James Harden. Now, that's a different situation. He's not extension eligible. He'll be a legit free agent coming next summer. But to Will's point, it's not like if you don't bring in Kawhi Leonard or extend him with him making $50 million a year, that $50 million just shows up as cap space and you can go out there and then get another guy. No, you can go over the cap to re-sign your own guys. So they didn't have alternatives. And I don't know if there's a better one when you consider how well he can play in a 7-game series and the chance he gives you to win a championship. A proven winner in multiple stops, has already won a championship for a franchise that was devoid of one in their history. And now he's trying to do it for the Clippers. And he also said post-game last night, it was funny with Christina Pink right after the game, he already had basically moved on from the contract and what happened. He did talk about how, he feels blessed from God that he's able to get something like this. But he's so locked in that he was saying how he's living in the moment at the press or at the podium later on. And I posted it at Follow Adam May, but he said something to the effect of, I'm trying to take this team to a place where they've never been before. Like, the mindset is still there. I don't even know if it ever left. Maybe because the contract was so inevitable that he had already, it was a given, a done deal,
Right.
and the focus just was never there. It's still about the team and what they can accomplish this season. But something else kind of crossed my mind last night, and he said this at the podium as well. Because it's only a 3-year deal, he'll be 35 at the end of it. And they kind of asked him about that. And he's like, we'll see how I'm playing at that age. But Kawhi is, I think most people would assume this, is one of the types that you could see leaving the game early.
100%.
If he wins a championship with the Clippers in the next 3 years, including this year, so the next, 4 seasons, I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of those guys that then walks away. There's not much else he needs to do in this league. So just something to think about. Kind of interesting. Jordan walked away at 35 with Chicago. He was at that age, and obviously it's a different situation. They just three-peated again, and they were going to run it back until, the last dance, and
Clips
Phil
have a chance
Jackson
to
was
three-peat,
leaving. So, yeah, but just, I was kind of comparing them yesterday on the live with body type and how Kawhi could age gracefully when he's healthy and on the court. The type of old man game he's always had, it lends itself to, being doing the same type of stuff he's doing now, even later on in his career. And you're seeing it a lot more with guys. I think KD's now 35. Steph Curry is about 35 or right there. You're seeing guys extend out their careers, and Kevin Durant went through a major injury as well. Should have seen that coming. Not the injury, the name tag, if you're watching YouTube.
Train
here.
Coming straight at you.
But guys are playing, it's not just LeBron, at a very high level later on into their careers now. And Kawhi Leonard could certainly be one of them, given his playing style.
Yeah, I had that thought too. He's a guy where it's like, I got some texts from people who aren't exactly Clippers fans, and they're like kind of trying to like make fun of the give me shit for the contract, but it's less than the max. And then it was funny you mentioned that. I was thinking that too. I was like, he's the most likely guy to just retire at 35. He's just going to be like, he's mentioned kind of like we've heard Dirk talk about maybe that last year was too much. And, he can't really do the thing, the cliche thing of run around with his kids is what announcers always say. But that does have some truth to it. So I think Kawhi, I think you're right. He's definitely a candidate to maybe, walk away at 35.
It also kind of solves, interestingly enough, what I perceived as what could be one of the biggest locker room issues going into this free agency, which would be if they were to give maxes to these players, the best they could do is 2 maxes, and someone would be the odd man out.
Pretty hard, yeah.
Like that's just what they would have to do, and I think that could, not saying that it will, but that could set an odd precedent that does set you up for kind of some tension in the locker room. I think, it's a lot of money, and so for Kawhi to already have set this precedent that he's willing to take a little bit less to make it work. I mean, that's got to have everybody feeling really good about what the eventual figures and contracts could look like for these other two, even with Harden, who, I mean, it's irrelevant to the Clippers, but throughout his career has left, nearly $100 million on the table.
Yeah.
And so you think about a guy like that. And if, both Kawhi and Paul George get the maxes, and he's standing over here thinking, I feel like I'm a part of this. I feel like I deserve this just as much as everybody else. I think that sets a really, that makes for a really tense and weird situation. By Kawhi once again being the leader, not the vocal leader, but the leader through actions, I feel like we've kind of already sidestepped what could have been the biggest dramatic fiasco for the Clippers in the offseason.
And we just lest we forget what he was upset with Daryl Morey about contract stuff. We don't want him calling Lawrence Frank a liar over China next season. Like, Lawrence Frank doesn't.
Larry liar.
Yeah, he's giving him like Trump style terrible names.
No, the Christie ones.
Yeah,
the even worse ones.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen, and then they don't think it will. Lawrence Frank didn't sound too phased about getting these guys back, right? Like, he sounded pretty confident that these deals were going to get done.
Paul George spoke about it post game too at the podium. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it happened within the next couple of weeks now, the way they were talking about it. It just seems like a foregone conclusion. And those three, it sounds like it talked because of what Kawhi Leonard said. It seems like everybody's coming back, basically. I'm paraphrasing. So if Kawhi's taking a little bit less, then maybe Paul George takes a little bit less too. Maybe James Harden does too. And it's that pecking order of also in a contract situation. We'll see. And we're still not even at the halfway point of the season. Right. There is so much, but I am thankful that everyone's playing this well, and it played out this way with Kawhi Leonard getting paid and hopefully retiring a Clipper. I think that's significant. That's monumental.
Absolutely. And if you look at the payroll, the only guys not locked up, so we assume Paul George, James Harden are going to be locked up. PJ Tucker has a player option, and then it's Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice are the only two other guys who aren't re-signed for next year. So again, Clippers have structured all of their contracts very well with this window, with Kawhi and Paul George, and now James Harden. And Kawhi did a really great thing. He signed his new contract, which helps the Clippers financially, and then he helped the Clippers not get the young and very fun to watch, as Adam mentioned, Raptors. Darko's a sweet coach. I don't obviously watch a lot of Raptors games, but like Lou versus Darko's a pretty fun. That would be an interesting series. Like, just the weird stuff they were both kind of throwing out at each other.
Raptors were impressive to me last night. I know a lot of people were down on the Clippers. I got a call post game. Somebody saying, like, I don't think they're a good defensive team. And it's like, okay, well, if you just go off the first three quarters of this game and don't look at what they've been throughout the entire season, I guess you could come to that conclusion. And I brought up how, they're 11th defensively since making the change in the starting lineup. And they're actually much better than that. If you just take out 2 games against OKC and Boston, where they got blown out without Kawhi, they're like a top 5 defense. So they have been elite on both ends. But Toronto, with the quick decision-making out there, it was just get it, pass it, or go to the basket. Like, they were scoring so quickly and they were just so efficient and so decisive. And while they did have some turnovers, I was impressed. And with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, they got something there.
It's impressive for a team that's had such little time together. You talked a little bit about the turnovers, but just like the composure and sort of we talked about the cohesive quality of the Clippers, like how the Raptors are kind of gelling. I agree. I was impressed. I think I took them a little bit lightly we talked about them in the preview. But yeah, there's something interesting there. They got something interesting going on. And depending on what kind of return they end up getting for Siakam, who I imagine they would end up shopping just due to some of like the timelines of the younger players and whatnot. Not that they have to, but they could be a little feisty.
Yeah, I think he definitely gets moved, but it also was a mix of contrasting styles, because going into that game, last 5 games for them, they were top 5 in pace. Last 5 games for the Clippers, they were bottom 5. I think they were 27th. And it gave the Clippers a test defensively on how to guard a team like that. And the one thing that came to mind was OKC plays a little bit like this.
Yeah, good call.
And they're going to see them soon. And who knows, maybe they see them down the line in the playoffs. This was, and even Coach Lou said it, and I don't think he meant it. He obviously didn't mean it in a disrespectful way, but he said it was good practice for us post-game to see a team like that. So those were good reps for the Clippers last night. And once again, you love to see it in a win, where you can learn something.
Yeah, that's a good call. The winning was definitely a good part. Yeah, the transition defense really got put to the test, which is something we've heard the guys talk about needing to be better. Brian Seaman talked about that a bunch on the broadcast, and there really isn't, you're right, like a better team to work on transition defense than the Raptors. This game also showed
Can I say just one last thing on that?
Go for it.
We always talk about, I feel like we always talk about pace with this team. And I'm fine with this team being towards the bottom in pace if that's due to their offense and the way that they're running the offense. Albeit if the process is still good, not like dribbling down the shot clock, isolation, bad, mid-range shot, whatever. I'm fine with this team being a slow offense. There's no reason to me why they can't be a fast defense is it.
I like that. No, that's great. Because my next point was going to be Amir Coffey was probably one of our better transition defenders. Terrence Mann was great in transition against the Raptors. Him and Zoo had a really nice, like Terrence got the block and then Zoo cleaned up the board on a Raptors breakaway. And Amir, the Raptors play so fast, they were down 6 with like 45 seconds left, but it still felt like it was going to be a close game. And Amir made a great one-on-one stop. So many of their possessions felt like breakaways, but Amir made a great defensive play. Like the Clippers got a nice contribution from the other guys who were still very good, but they really picked up some slack in ways that you need role players do to win games in the playoffs. And this game kind of had a playoff vibe to it. Both teams were playing really hard. The refs kind of let them go to start the game. Like the first quarter was so quick. But yeah, it was a really kind of a complete win, I guess, despite being a little shaky, if that makes sense.
What's interesting is when you talk about pace and tempo and speed of play, when the Clippers tried to play with Toronto, where you would think, oh, this is a good game for Russell Westbrook. He only ended up playing 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He smoked at least 3 layups. It may have been 4, but that is what killed them.
We're all bad turnovers like that.
Those are turnovers.
Those are turnovers.
You can't. I love Russ and his energy, but don't confuse it with effectiveness all the time. For the most part, it has been with the Clippers, but that was a game where he just had a really bad one against a team where you can't miss those shots, and they all turned into points going the other way. Gary Trent, a couple of 3-pointers in transition, where the Clippers, part of it was, their defense needs to be better in transition, but on a night like that, you just have to make those buckets so you can set your defense on the other end.
Yeah, that's a good call. It was not the best Russ game.
Not putting it on Russ.
No,
they
of
still
course,
won the ball game. They still won it. But it was just like, man, you actually have a guy that could help you play at that pace, and it didn't work. They just kind of have to impose their will on these teams. And the first 3 quarters, I don't know, it wasn't the greatest effort defensively. There was a lot of guys being disconnected out there, not exactly 5 guys on a string. Paul George showing some frustration at times. Fourth quarter, much better. I want to say Toronto only had like 6 points the first 6 minutes or something of the fourth quarter. The Clippers tightened things up as it went along. But those are the games you have to win during a long regular season too. When you are a great team, they do it all the time. I've seen this for years with teams that are dominant. They flip a switch. They find it. You don't want to rely on that all the time because it can burn you, but some nights you have to have it, and they did. And 2-on-3 down the stretch were so good executing in the half court. Kawhi pulling the basketball out when they tried to double him and just going around it for that dunk.
That was crazy.
And then him kicking it out and spraying it to Paul George for that 3-pointer that was the eventual dagger. They both had 29. They were awesome when they needed to be.
Got to stack these wins before March gets here. It's nice to see them taking care of business where they can. And I like what you said. It didn't feel like the Clippers won just because they had the majority, the better roster. The process was good when they were starting to figure it out too, Will, kind of to your point, right? Like we've seen this team kind of just out talent other teams where it was like, okay, sure, we have the better players. They're going to beat you individually. We beat them a little more as a team. It was a little more gelled and process-wise was better down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
The Clippers also, after having a long run where they were averaging almost 15 turnovers per game, had just 7. And that's one of the things that saved them last night, because I think Toronto had 15 and the Clippers ended up getting up 9 more shots because of less turnovers and offensive rebounds, where they had 11. Big Zoo had 5 of them, of course.
He was huge. He ripped the ball out of two Raptors' hands on different occasions. He just ripped the ball out of their hands. We've never seen him do that. Like, that's the first time in Zoo's career he's ever literally ripped the ball away from two different opponents.
I actually thought at one point, because of how fast Toronto was playing and because they had a bunch of Wingstop out there, that maybe, and in past years, I'm sure it would have happened, the Clippers should have gone small. They didn't. They stayed with Big Zoo. They trusted him. And it ended up working out when I was kind of like, this might be a good time to actually go small and be a little bit more switchable out there. But it worked out.
Has anybody done a rundown yet of, I haven't seen anybody post the stats, but has anybody done a rundown of Ivica Zubac's total fourth quarter minutes so far this season versus any other season with the Clippers? Because we've never seen a stretch where he closes this much, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, what are his minutes totals per quarter?
Unless it maybe
I got that
21-22 year where we were depleted. We knew no Kawhi, and we
didn't
have
a contender. Yeah.
He might have been close then, but I still don't think so.
So he's averaging 5.7 minutes in fourth quarters this season. I can take it back now to last year and see where he was at. It's down there. No, it was at 6.5. It was at 6.5 minutes per game. Now that's also different than just
quarter. Like he's closing now. You know what I mean? Like maybe those 6.5.
Well, if we go to clutch time, I bet that's what's different, where he's playing much more in tight games within 5 points.
Yeah.
And by the way, since November 17th, with the new starting lineup, the Clippers have the second best net rating in clutch time. They're 9-4 and 13 opportunities in clutch time, with an offensive rating of 125.7 and a defensive rating of 98.4.
We love it.
They're smoking teams.
They're smoking teams. And we're hoping that the next game they play is not necessarily one that involves clutch time, but we are going to talk about it coming up. The Clippers take on some of the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to preview that game and then talk just kind of a cool piece about the Clippers pick and roll. The ads have been loud for some people. If that's been the case for you, go ahead and turn it down. We got ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into Clips and Dip. You're listening this far, so I'm assuming we already talked about the Kawhi extension. We talked about the win over the Raptors. Now we're looking ahead to the Grizzlies taking on a bear of an opponent in the Grizzlies.
Wait, the Clippers taking on a bear of an opponent?
Nope.
Well,
staying with it.
Nope. We're going with it, man.
No, the Clippers are taking on the Grizzlies, who are. I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say about the Memphis Grizzlies? Do you want me to talk about Zaire Williams, who I have not watched since the year he was drafted? Should we?
Will did say they suck like 3 weeks ago, and he might end up being right because John Morant's out for the season now, and it's going to be a rough one for them.
Yeah. This is a pretty crazy. So here's who's out. You got Steven Adams out, Santi Aldama's out, Brandon Clark is out, Jake LaRavie out, John Morant's out, Derek
not
Rose
Jake LaRavie.
I know. Marcus
What
Smart,
the hell, man?
Marcus Smart is out with your classic rupture of the proximal interphalangeal joint central slip. Anyone who's played basketball know what that is. The worst. We hope he gets better soon.
Is that a weighing injury? What is that?
It's a finger injury. They beat a Luka-less Dallas, but then also waived. This is also why it's terrible luck for them. They just waived Bismack. So they waived Bismack.
Oh no!
I'm so curious. Like, what was that? Was that just a money move? I don't know enough about what's going on.
I think they brought someone else in. I think they
front office.
Yeah, I think they waived him and brought someone
else in.
I thought
they brought up a guard though.
Right. It seemed odd, but now it seems particularly rough because they don't have him for this game.
I don't like that. Lakers might pick him up.
I feel like Adam just went into lockdown. I feel like you just had.
I didn't know they waived him. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about the.
But they're still gonna have Desmond Bane.
It's a money move. I don't really get it.
They're still gonna have Desmond Bane.
The Suns don't pick him up.
Oh, that's
Bring him back. That's
Maybe.
bad. That's
It is-
bad.
it's
That's
not
pack
good.
div bad.
They still got Desmond Bane. Triple J is going to be on 2 days rest. He sat out their last game with a knee contusion. Not sure how serious that is, but he was out for that game. Clippers by 3. What are we thinking? What?
With good process?
Yeah. And hey, win by 3 with good process. I'm happy because that also means that Luke Kennard goes like 17 for 20 from 3-point if that happens.
So you still got to worry about Bane, right?
Still got to worry about
playing.
Bane.
He's
Still got to worry
playing.
about Triple J.
You got to worry about Luke Kennard. Triple J is playing.
Triple J is playing.
But he don't know about Big Zoo at this level.
He does not. He
does.
not.
They played recently, but
Here's
he got bodied.
Here's who's available for the Grizzlies per Law Murray. We're going to assume what's their starting 5. Desmond Bane, Luke Kennard, Vince Williams Jr., Jaren Jackson, Xavier Tillman. Bench is going to be Jacob Gilliard, John Conchar, Zaire Williams, David Roddy. I feel pretty good about the Clippers in this game.
So in that last time out, Big Zoo, in their 117-106 victory, giving the Memphis Grizzlies their first loss with John Morant, Big Zoo had 15 and 20 and 6 offensive rebounds, and Triple J had 2 boards in 37 minutes. That was unbelievable.
So you're feeling pretty good too about this one.
I'm going to say Clippers by 4.
Clippers by 4. Okay. Will, we have to give the Grizzlies some credit. Maybe something crazy could happen.
I mean,
what's the crazy thing that could happen?
It is still the thing that like a team down guys with a collection of, I mean, outside of like Bane and Triple J, like guys who aren't locked up, these are hungry guys like that, that always can present a problem, especially if you take your foot off the gas at any point. But outside of that, man, I don't really know. I don't know enough about this rotation of the Grizzlies to say much about it. Sorry, I didn't prepare enough for this one.
I thought you were a big David Roddy guy.
Read the rundown, man.
The rundown does not very helpful. For this is one where
I'm looking at the rundown.
Yeah, I didn't. This one is a tough one to run down given their players. I'm excited. Like from the Clippers side, this is a great game to get Plumlee back into. Right, we can give him some minutes. Maybe they matter-ish. Maybe they don't. But it's gonna be nice to see Plum Dog out there getting some run.
Well, I'm just looking at how they ended up beating Dallas the way they did in Dallas, and they knocked down threes from the outside. Now, Marcus Smart helped them. He went 4 of 8, and he will not be available. But they went 38%, 14 threes were made in the ball game. They got really hot, and they out-rebounded the Dallas Mavericks, my God, by 21, and had 18 offensive rebounds to 8 for the Dallas Mavericks.
Jesus.
So there is a formula there, and Triple J still wasn't playing in that game. Now, they did have Biyombo, but he only had 2 boards.
Oh, damn.
Played
Who grabbed the
18
boards
minutes.
for him?
I'm looking here. It was by committee. Desmond Bane, he had 9 with the starters. Tillman off the bench had 11. Okay, Tillman. Xavier Tillman wrecked Dallas. Okay. He had 11 boards, and 6 of them were offensive rebounds. He had 14 points, was a plus 17 out there. So
he hasn't fared as well against the Clippers, but very limited sample size.
Interesting. All right, so Xavier Tillman, maybe a guy to watch out for, and David Roddy, Will's guy.
We're really workshopping this Clippers victory and how it's going to come on the fly.
We're trying. I mean, it's hard against the game, and this is maybe also what the Clippers are dealing with. How do you play in against a team like this? They're familiar with Luke Kennard, obviously. You just have to, I don't know, give Luke Kennard open shots and he'll turn them down. So there is a known quantity over there, but like Will said, there's guys who are hungry. There's guys who are playing for more than just this game.
And what? They've had 3 days off. After the Dallas win? 2 days off?
2, I think. Yeah. Maybe 1. No. Yeah, I think so.
Back to back. Charles is continuously moving the goalposts.
I'm saying maybe take the Clippers however much they're favored to win by. I think that would maybe be a safe bet in this game.
Are you all comfortably saying double digits?
Yeah. I'll say double digits.
I would hope so, man.
Depends how much barbecue they have, but I'd say double digits. Will, who is your player of the game pick for this game?
Terrence Mann.
All right.
Did we already do this?
We did do
this.
Did
we? I don't know.
The hell? I took
this.
Russell Westbrook.
All right, I'm going Kawhi. I think I said that.
Cheater.
I think I may have switched it, but I'm going Kawhi. I'm absolutely cheating. All right, so Clippers by double digits in Memphis. Then they have, that would be an official win streak. That'd be 3 wins in a row. Then they have a tougher opponent, which we're going to talk about on Saturday.
Ooh.
That's also, if you're in LA and you're listening to this podcast and you want to see the Clippers play the Thunder, you can get in for like $20 right now, all in on StubHub.
What?
Yes.
People don't want to watch the Thunder?
Kevin, my
I'm
friend.
I'm blown away.
Kevin Macias.
I'm literally blown away. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm blown away.
$20 all in on StubHub.
Do people not care about teams that are good playing the
Not
Clippers?
on Tuesdays. Not on Tuesdays. I'm going to look it up.
Do people not care about Shea returning anytime he returns to Staples?
Thunder at Clippers. I'm looking at it right now. $20
I'm baffled.
including fees.
I'm baffled by
Fully blown away.
Everyone, if you're listening to this and you want to go. You're not doing shit. It's a Tuesday night.
Also, get at us. I'm curious about this. Let us know. You don't have to give us exact figures, but how much more are they asking for your season tickets at Intuit Dome versus what you're paying right now? Like, give us a number like, oh, it's 3 times more or whatever. Because I'm hearing some contrasting figures, but from what I've seen so far, looking like quite the price hike.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I know I've seen like Ricky Chu tweet about that and stuff like that. And I think during the losing streak, we mentioned how we felt bad for the season ticket reps who have to call people during that 6-game losing streak. It would not be an easy job. Adam, you look like you have thoughts on the season tickets.
No thoughts whatsoever there.
Are you still thinking about Biyombo on the Lakers?
I'm blown away that Will's blown away, and it is
that doesn't surprise you.
It does surprise me.
20 is cheap.
Maybe they think
it's so cheap. They're the second best team in the West.
They're as banged up as the Memphis Grizzlies are, and they're not going to see the Stars that night or something. But I'm pretty sure the OKC Thunder are still playing good ball overall.
Yeah, let us know if you listen to this podcast and then buy a ticket, because that would be cool. All right, this next thing I wanted to bring up, there was a great piece on the Harden-led pick and roll by Jackson Frank. Some people we all know that it's good, right? Everyone knows that it's a very good pick and roll. But why is pretty interesting. He used the Pelicans game as an example, because that was a team that was playing very good defense at the time. They had just beat Timberwolves. They looked very good. But this stat I thought was crazy on the year, since Harden has been in the starting lineup. The rate of assisted makes for PG, Kawhi, and Zoo are their highest marks during 5 seasons of this whole era. The last time James Harden
different than field goal percentage?
Yes, because it's only assisted ones. It's not ISO buckets.
Gotcha.
The last time Harden assisted this much was 2013-2014. Kawhi hasn't been assisted this much since 15-16, and Paul George hasn't gotten this many assisted field goals since 2017-2018. So these guys, Harden is setting these guys up more than they ever have been and better than they ever have been in this pick and roll, because the defense has to do basically 5 different things. If they're in drop, they can put Paul George and Kawhi in the corners, and then the defenders have to stick with them and not let them shoot because they're killing it, which leaves it open for Zoo or something like that. If Harden's trapped, he can find somewhere else to go with the ball. Man has been really good in that role, being kind of that safety valve. And if they're switching, Harden can get a screen from Kawhi and head to the corner, and they have to stick with Harden. It's this incredible thing that James Harden is in charge of, and they're giving teams 4 different looks in one possession. And then if the team is going really defensive to try and stop the pick and roll, their offense isn't good enough. Because, a really defensive lineup is not going to score. The Clippers defense is also very good. So that was a very quick summation of it. But I feel like I learned a lot from the article, just how and why the James Harden-led pick and roll is so good.
This is what I mean when the Clippers are creating that unsolvable problem. There's just can be no defense, I think is the line from Karate Kid.
Man, I haven't even thought about the Karate Kid in a very long time.
You mentioned just guys getting to their spots with ease now and Harden setting them up on a silver platter. Dr. Schaap put this out a little bit earlier on the Lob the Jam the Pod X account. Paul George average dribbles per touch went from 3.49 last season to now, since Russell Westbrook came off the bench, to 2.59. And it's at 2.34 over the last 6 games. His average dribbles. He's just good? Turning into more of a catch and shoot type guy. So, and he's taking 10% or his catch and shoot threes are up 10% this season. Kawhi Leonard is being assisted on 7% more of his buckets are being assisted than they were last year. That's all good? James Harden. It's Ivica Zubac being the best in the NBA from 5 to 9 feet out at 65%. That's James Harden. It's all him taking over. It's crazy. He is a system.
He is a system. Will loves the numbers. If you can't see Adam's name right now, it might be an all-timer over on youtube.com/Clippers podcast. Speaking, and also shout out to Jackson Frank, who wrote that piece, and pretty much everything he writes about the Clippers is worth a read. He's not like a Clippers beat guy, but he writes about them sometimes.
No, he's a great writer and a great follow on Twitter, if you know.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Really knowledgeable.
And you learn things about basketball, which is one of the most fun parts about basketball. We just mentioned YouTube. We got to talk this best comment contest because we have a doozy on our hands. If you're unfamiliar with this, you leave a funny comment or a comment we like and we pick it, and we'll give you a free thing if we have it. We have a free thing this time. Adam, what is that free thing?
Check it out, boys. This was the giveaway last night. It's the
Primo
Clips
trucker hat
trucker
for the listeners
hat.
who can't see it.
It's really nice. It's that new City Edition font that has really grown on me. The more I see it with the jerseys and just the trademarking, I think it looks pretty clean. It looks good. Less and less like the Washington Wizards from a few years ago.
Yes, someone mentioned that it looks like the word chips, and that's hard for me to get out of my head now when I see it. But that's besides the point. It looks great. We have to pick a finalist for the Mexican Heritage jersey, which was our second giveaway. I'm going to be honest. This one is tough. This might take another 25 minutes of deliberation between us three. We have.
It's good podcast content.
It's great. Danny Perez, 9587 said, I proposed in a Clipper shirt in Italy last summer. Would be nice to wear this Mexico Clipper jersey on my honeymoon with a sombrero this summer, celebrating the Clippers in my first ring. Wholesome story. Love it. Top tier comment. Raymond Nassar said, my house is in the middle of the Venn diagram for Clips and Dip and Clipper Vision in Espanol. Mi esposa would love the Mexican Heritage jersey. Go Clips. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Got the married crew. Got the married guys comments. And then we have Dexodus, which this one is a bit of a deep pull for people who are maybe on the internet too much, myself included. Should I try and read this in Spanish? Adam, are you good at Spanish? Do you have a good Spanish accent?
No habla español. I had 2 years in high school.
Okay.
You should do this.
Well, you went to high school in California. We went to high school in Montana. So I don't know if our 4 years of Spanish might not be up to your 2 years. All right, I'll try to do this. Unless Will, do you want a shot at this?
No, you go for it.
Great. All right. Creo que es muy gracioso que hablen mierda sobre Clips and Dip en los comentarios. En la no les dirías esa mierda son duros. No solo eso, sino que visten la ropa más cool. Comen en los restaurantes más tranquilos y salen con los chicos más atractivos. Soy un australiano sudamericano sin conocimientos de español. Traductor de Google, hazlo bien. Yeah, speaks perfect Spanish. Thank you.
I feel like this could be I feel like this could be that video, like the video where it's like podcast host surprises all Spanish speaking listeners.
It would not be that.
Perfect
they
recitation.
Would just go, boo. Stop it. Order your food. Like, get away. Like, you're the line's holding up.
So what's the Google Translate?
The translate is he was referencing a classic James Harden copy pasta. Again, for people who've been on the internet too much.
Damn, this one has levels.
This one has levels. The translation is, I think it's really funny that they talk shit about Clips and Dip in the comments. In LA, you wouldn't say that shit to them. They're tough. Not only that, but they wear the freshest clothes, eat in the chillest restaurants, and hang out with the hottest dudes. I am a South American Australian with no knowledge of Spanish. Google Translate, do it right. For those of you unfamiliar with this is just something that was created on the internet as a meme to defend James Harden in the comments. And it is, personally, I think one of the
This is the winner.
I don't know.
We do hang out with the hottest dudes.
It's so funny. And if you are internet pilled, it's even funnier. I'm going to be honest. The Danny Perez one for me is hard to not say yes to.
Which one? Which guilt trip was that? Which fishing expedition was that?
Whoa! He told a wonderful. Whoa! Adam hates love. We're gonna call this episode. He said he proposed in a Clipper shirt in Italy last summer, and he wants to wear this with a sombrero on his honeymoon. That's it's fun.
It is fun.
Adam, what's your call? Because Will and I have set our 2 votes, so by the natural order of this conversation flow, you have to decide.
Because Will said it's fun. He doesn't necessarily mean.
No, Will's going with the James Harden, the Spanish one.
Oh yeah, I'm going with that 4-chain whatever.
All right,
4-chain.
4-chain.
How old are you?
E-Bombs World. collegehumor.com.
You get off the 4-chain. I told you no more 4-chain forums. Okay, Dexodus. You win. Dexodus wins. Danny Perez,
the owner of a brand new Clippers Mexican Heritage jersey.
Yes, fine.
You got that thing on you? Can you show that baby off?
You're not wearing it, are you? Okay.
Woo.
Adam's like, yeah, right here.
I'm not wearing it, but I will give this away too.
This is what you get if you're listening. This is what you get if you watch this show on YouTube. Leave some comments, maybe subscribe. Yeah. We're gonna try to keep these giveaways going. We're gonna try to bankrupt Adam in shipping.
We've already said we'd split the costs.
I refuse.
But yeah, if you leave a comment, congrats to Dexodus. Follow at Clippers Pod. Send us a DM. We'll get your address. We'll get it sent. And then we're also, if you leave a comment on this video, you can win that City Edition trucker hat. It's pretty sick. If you have a seam ripper, you can take that Intuit tax logo off the back. It won't take.
If you'd like us to remove it for you, we will.
I did it on mine that I got.
A small fee.
I did it on mine.
That's a legit sponsor, though, when you think about it now. Like, that's not like
Adam, don't be a shill.
Fields.
Adam, don't be a shill.
That has nothing to do with the Clippers. It's Intuit. That's what the new stadium is about.
Yeah, it's not the best. We're not giving Intuit free promo here.
That's probably going to be on their jerseys next year.
I know, and I don't like that either. I'd rather have them a big get the In-N-Out jersey.
Saying, if you buy an official jersey, it's going to have it on there.
Well, that's why I buy unofficial jerseys.
I
get every jersey at Santee
Alley. Send us your jerseys. We'll go ahead and seam rip those logos.
Yeah, hey, I'll seam rip, no problem. Again, congrats to Dexodus. Congrats to you if you're maybe watching this. If you want to leave a funny comment, Spanish memes. That's a pretty easy way to our hearts. So we've learned that.
Also,
today.
Huge thanks to Danny Perez and Raymond Nassar. These were both great stories. Yeah, maybe next time.
Maybe next time. I hope so.
They were
just bring.
Oh, go ahead, better cases than Joseph Raya Ward just saying, "Give it to me."
Yes, very, very good point.
I want it.
Yeah, we're gonna get that sent out, Luca. Everything's gonna be sent at once. I cannot wait to see. Leave a comment or something when you get it. We're gonna be back on Saturday to preview Wolves and Thunder, maybe live. Who knows? It could be a fun time. Last time was really fun. We're gonna do some
on Saturday.
We don't have to work on Saturday. Do you not want? Are you busy?
This is work.
What are you doing, Will? What are you doing on Saturday?
He's running the numbers on the Clippers' new lineup that's gonna usurp the.
I gotta look at my advanced stats. I keep some spreadsheets. I keep some spreadsheets by my bedside table.
I don't want to work. I gotta look at these advanced stats that I printed out.
He's on his Warp and Raptor stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna got a big Vorpin weekend.
I gotta catch this Vorp wave, man. Don't snake it, dude. We're going to be back on Saturday, maybe live, doing double dips after all the games, which is very fun. Will, where can these people find this pod?
So you can check this pod out wherever you listen to podcasts. If you feel so inclined, you could leave a rating or review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out a lot. You can also listen to this wherever you get your podcast. But really, if you want the full Clips and Dip experience, you got to check us out over on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@Clippers Podcast. If you'd subscribe there, drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can chop it up with this account anytime. Send us your stray thoughts. Send us your well wishes. Send us your poor wishes.
Send us
can do
strays.
that. You can do that. You can do that over.
We'll adopt your stray thoughts.
Send us your sick thoughts. You can do that over on Twitter @ClippersPod.
I've been trying to stay away from stray thoughts for 2024. Adam, give us a word of positivity to send these wonderful listeners out with.
Did we mention Terrence Mann in this show? Did we mention T-Man going 5 of 5 and 3 of 3 from distance, and now he's hit 13 of his last 21 from the outside? I don't know, guys. I'm not sure if they should replace him in the starting lineup that now is shooting 44% from 3 since November 17th with Terrence Mann in 21 games and 54% from the floor. It seems like it's working pretty damn good right now with James Harden, who I'm glad we can talk about again. And we can talk about pick and roll articles and things. When this offseason we were told to shut up and put the kibosh on the James Harden talk. And now the Clippers are currently having their best stretch in regular season history. What a time to be a member of Clipper Nation, right? They won 21 of 27, 16 of 19, and 7 of their last 8. And they got a Memphis team that Chuck says the Clippers are going to blow out on Friday.
Oh no! I'm getting all the blame if things go wrong. If they do go wrong, I guess I will have to go on the radio to talk about it since it is in Will's contract. And he only goes on after wins. We will be back with y'all soon. We hope everyone has a great rest of your week. And as always, let's go Clips.